That's what I keep asking Tony. I'm like, you want to make me happy? Buy me a home. Somewhere else, not in New York. I don't want a home, but buy me a little beach house. It got a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I don't need nothing big, but just
There's an
someplace
assumption in there.
What? What's your assumption?
No, there's an assumption in there that I want to make you happy.
Obviously. And I'm like, this hoe out here loves to brag about his pension and his
I'm not bragging. I'm not bragging. People ask. I tell the truth.
He loved to talk about it. So I'm like, that's fine. How about you use it to make me happy?
There we go. Right. That's funny.
Hey, aunties. It's Marko.
And Tony from the Relationship Podcast. What's
brewing today?
Introducing Relationship Podcast.
Ask Yo Aunteas, kink and cheating.
Ooh, and is Beyoncé back? So get your cups ready for Minoritea Report. Hey, welcome to Minoritea Report. It's Auntea Kerel.
And it's Auntea Dawon. And we're missing somebody.
I know! This is weird.
It feels so weird.
It is not the, hey, and this is Auntie Jerrell. Auntie Jerrell is with some fam right now, so she's got the week off. But you know what? That's okay. We're going to hold it down for her.
Yes.
And we also have two people that are going to help us hold down the fort this episode. And I'm excited because we were recently on their podcast and we just had a whole kiki of a moment. No lie. That episode was lit.
Did not want to stop talking.
At all.
Right?
Nope. At all.
Nope.
I know. We recorded for it was damn near 3 hours. We had fire alarms.
Yeah.
We had
everything.
People had to
There's so much
evacuate
that
buildings.
Woo, I know, we won't even say what happened after that episode. We'll leave that one alone. But
that's in the annals of the recording.
Girl. But we have Marko and Tony from the Relationship Pod with us today. And I'm excited for this episode because their energy is so similar to all of our relationships.
All of it. Every single one of it.
So I'm so excited. But before we get into the depths of the episode, what are your auntie names?
So this is Marko, by the way. I am Auntie Tequila Jenkins. Because she's spicy. It's the Jenkins, right? Because she's spicy. Like tequila always gets everyone spicy, but it's the Jenkins because she still be keeping it hood, and so I love it.
Wait, weren't the Jenkins from 227 back in the day?
Mary.
I love it. And
what about you, Tony?
This is Tony. And I am Auntie Bacon Bullet Bourbon.
Oh.
I gave you all three of my names because we are in church. That's right. And bacon needs no justification.
None.
That's a true statement. Make me want some right now.
I was like, did I just get hungry?
Right. I just had a whole steak and that shit sound delicious still.
Right. I don't know about y'all, but this week deserves some. It ain't even halfway over yet. I mean, it's by the time we're recording this, it's Wednesday, but it has been hellacious.
Girl.
Oh yeah, no, I'm over it.
Oh yeah, no, this week can just go away.
I know that's right. I know, I was in Chicago for the weekend for market days, and great weekend. It was hot as hell, but great weekend. Get home and literally remembered I left my fanny pack, a Burberry one at that cost an arm and leg.
Oh dear.
Under my seat. Bitch.
Shut up.
Talk about
it's
livid. Oh, it's gone. I know, on the plane, girl, I was so mad. I came home, the dog was happy to see me. Corey was actually happy to see me. Left me a little card saying, "Welcome back, boo." I was like, "Oh, okay, she trying to get laid or something." Okay,
Hello.
And get upstairs, and I'm like, "Where's my?" I have asthma, so I was like, "Where's my inhaler?" I was like, "Oh, it's in my fanny pack." Then I was like, "Where's my fanny pack?" And the second I said, I knew I left it. Like, because
did
literally,
you call the airlines?
So I called them. They said you got to fill out a form online. I was like, there's nothing you can do right now. I know, because like the plane was like, it stopped in Atlanta. Like Monday was crazy because like there was a lot of storms that came across the country.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the flights were delayed. So we were already delayed like 2 hours getting back to Atlanta. And so the plane was going to Atlanta, and then continue on to Orlando. So I'm telling them all this. I'm like, I know it's still on there if the people who cleaned up the plane didn't already snatch it. I was like, it's going to Orlando. Can you just call the front gate? Like, I'm sure it's still there. Because this was literally the second I got home. They're like, no, you got to fill out this form. I was like, by the time I fill this form, that thing is going to be scooped up, forever gone. And so that was Monday. Here it is, recording Wednesday. I haven't heard shit. And I'm like, oh. And I'm so heartbroken.
This is really terrible, but I'm going to say it, and I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to get in trouble for it one day. But I honestly feel like if you said, I'm so concerned because I have COVID, and my inhaler's in the bag, and I touched it to my lips a bunch, and I really think like it's a liability for you to leave this on your plane. Suddenly, people will find your fanny pack.
That is so true. I should have. It's so not my energy. Corey probably would have.
I know.
It's
like,
so not my energy.
That is just like, I'm like, that feels very white to say. like that's.
I was not gonna say it, but I literally was thinking the same thing.
I'll say it. Like, that is like something that only white
so
people
white.
can concoct. Like, y'all literally will be coming up with all kinds of shit.
That is like, here are some blankets. Don't worry about what them spots are. Just take them. This is our gift to you.
Right. No, I feel your pain, because one time,
that very thing.
One time I took a trip to Las Vegas, and I had just bought, like, before going to Vegas, a Gucci wallet. Tell me why my ass lost that entire Gucci wallet and everything in it,
girl,
during my trip to Vegas, and I was pissed.
I literally feel like,
yeah.
I do feel like when you lose something that's of value like that, like lost it, left it, whatever, that's like the universe telling you something.
Ooh.
It's like it's telling you one of two things. One, you don't need this.
I guess not.
Two, get organized.
Or two, your time with this has ended.
And I just got it. I just got it in March for my birthday. Corey's like, oh, here's a. Just got it. Maybe the third time I've been able to use it.
I had a pair of Tom Ford sunglasses, and I only. Okay, this is going to sound really bougie.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I only buy expensive sunglasses, and because I don't buy a lot. I used to be like one of those people that like had like a gazillion sunglasses, a gazillion watches, and blah, 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 blah for like the fashion of it. And I was like, why do I need a gazillion when I could just have one really good one that I really, really like? And if it's more expensive, I will take care of that motherfucker a lot better than this shit that I just be throwing around, like haphazard. So yeah, you got a $20 pair of sunglasses, and you just like, oh, well, if I lose it, it's just $20. But like 8 sunglasses later, you didn't spend, $100. So at any rate, I had this pair of sunglasses, these Tom Ford sunglasses. I got to the airport, got to security, got to the gate, got on the plane. The plane was leaving. I'm like, where the hell are my sunglasses? Because I know I'm a habitual person. I like to put things in a certain place. So when I take my sunglasses off, I hook them on my t-shirt always. Or unless I have a case, and then I put them in the case and I put them in my bag. But I got on the airplane, and then I realized I don't have my sunglasses with me. I'm looking everywhere, like in my pockets, on the sides, like patting myself down. Left it in the tray at TSA.
Oh, no.
I've done that with a laptop before.
Whole ass laptop.
So,
girl.
So wait a minute. So my ass said, you know what? Okay, so it's clearly I'm not getting them sunglasses back. No way. There's nobody turning them glasses in. Even if they turn it in, somebody is copping them sunglasses. So I'm on the plane. We hadn't taken off yet, so I bought another pair.
She bought another pair that quick.
I bought another pair. Got that pair. Got that pair. And then got on another flight later that week, because I was coming home this time. Got on another flight later that week, and I left that pair in the sun. And
bitch,
I left that pair in the taxi.
Oh.
The Uber, the taxi. Before I got out of the, I left it in a taxi that took me to the airport.
So I'm gonna tell you that there's a third option when this happens, which is you just ain't supposed to have shit.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. There's only two things.
There's a third.
It's not for you. It's not for you. Or your time is done with that one thing. It's done. It's a wrap. You just have to accept it.
That is
no,
wild.
I left my laptop, my work laptop, in a tray because you know how like you get. Like when you have your computer, you have to like put your computer in a whole separate tray, and then you gotta put like your shoes and your belt and stuff like that in that. So like when it went through the scanner, I call myself being like effective, right? And like by like taking my clothes and putting it on like on top of the tray with my laptop and then going and then getting dressed. So I wasn't standing in the line and like getting dressed at the belt, right? Like I was just, that was my whole goal. And so I'm like dressed and I'm like walking, and I thank the baby Jesus, all 6 pound 9 ounces of him, because I was literally like walking towards my gate. I was like, shit. And I like turned right around and I was like, oh my God. And I like went right back to my tray. And everybody's like, is everything okay? And I lift up the tray and my laptop is like still right there. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, how lucky are you? Yeah. Like that is so good. I was like, geez. And it was my work laptop, so it wasn't even my own. Could you imagine having to tell that story?
And that's the thing, is just like, I remember back, and I remember why I was, because I was in the aisle seat. And I remember, like, you kind of go back through your emotions, like, how the fuck did I not grab that? Like, you know? And what happened was, since we were so delayed, the two people to my right were trying to get their connections. So I was rushed. I was hurrying up, and then I helped the lady in front of me get her bag out. Like, and so it was like, it threw me off my normal routine. Yeah. And so then, like, you feel like you got to rush and grab all your stuff to help everyone get out. And was gone. Gone like the wind, bitch. So yeah, so I was like, damn. So that's a long ass opening to say, yes, this week could go away because I'm done with it too.
And all I heard was moral of that story was stop helping people because then you lose your fanny pack. That's all I heard.
And that fanny pack was cute too.
Wait. Let me just take ethical inventory right now. No, I can't fake COVID to get you your fanny pack back. But you can stop helping all people in general.
That hoe had no problem.
Just so I understand where the compass is during this conversation.
No problem putting that suitcase in that bin. She could take it out. She could take it out.
There was a philosophical difference between those two things, though. Let's be clear. Like telling somebody a lie about a disease, a communicable disease
that has killed millions of people.
That is a very different thing than what a lot of Black people do, which is,
sit my ass down.
I sacrifice my own happiness or whatever to do something nice for these people that were trying to do something, rushed myself, got all discombobulated. And now I'm sacrificing? No, not anymore.
Minding my own,
That's a
minding
very
my own
different
business.
thing.
Minding my own business.
Different thing.
Right.
You help yourself.
Right.
I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying it's two different things.
I know that's right. So I'm still putting it out there, Lord. Let me get my fanny pack back, because that was a nice ass gift.
You, girl. That Burberry coming back.
Oh,
to you.
Jesus, help me out, Playboy.
I don't think it's coming back. I think
it's coming back.
Warn it.
It's coming back.
Is this going to be the manager name game? Or we going
to see if Kerel get his fanny pack back?
Let's see.
Did Kerel get his fanny pack back?
Yes. Well, I'm paying the Sky Daddy for you right now.
I think you have a better shot of getting it back because your asthma medication's in it.
You would hope so. And here's the crazy thing. Luckily, too, I actually, for some reason, I know why, because I went and got me some chicken tenders right before the flight because a bitch was hungry. And I put my wallet back in my back pocket just like out of habit. Because normally when I travel, I put it in my fanny pack too, because I want everything out of my pocket so I could just take the fanny pack off, put it through security,
and be done. Yeah.
And I did it, but took my wallet out to get some chicken tenders and put it in my back pocket. So luckily I have my wallet still, because normally I would have lost all my credit cards, my ID, everything. Ooh, right? Get that chicken hoe. I know that's right. Oh, shit.
Not even close to the first time in history chicken tenders saved someone's life.
Bitch. So did. So, but anyway, so relationship podcast. And before we get into it too, actually, I know you open up most episodes by singing some random song that's on your heart. But I'm going to do a little twist on it.
Okay.
Tony, what song do you think Marko would sing right now? And Marko, what song do you think Tony would sing right now? Like, what's, let's see what songs you place on each other's hearts.
Right now?
After this conversation?
Here's the thing. We didn't get to really check in about his whole day.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but based on the conversation, I mean, I know it's going to be a Beyoncé song. And if I have to pick one, it's just going to be "Get Me Body."
Ooh, hey, that song.
Because he wants to be pepped back up. He's downtrodden. He had a hard day.
Okay.
A lot of stuff happened, and he just wants to start bouncing.
Oh,
Mission one.
Right.
See, you start singing it. There you go.
I'm up with this song. I know that's it.
So this is an ongoing inside joke between me and Tony, but if there was a song that was in Tony's head, it would be shot, 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 shot.
Everybody, if you ain't getting drunk, get the fuck out the club. That's the best part of the whole song.
But
I know that's
not because I need a drink or I want a drink or I drink a lot, because apparently I can't get the rhythm down.
So my husband, in all of his whiteness, so this is why it's an inside joke. He was trying to reference that joke, that song at one point in time. This
many
was
times,
years ago.
many times.
And he was like, I can't even do the rhythm because I don't have white people rhythm. And he was trying to like reference it, and it was like shot, 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 shot. I was like, I have no idea what song that is.
Bless
And
your heart.
like, you know what song that is? I was like, no, I have no idea what song that is.
You know what song it is.
I refuse to
He
claim
didn't have to
it.
do me like that.
I refuse to claim it because I was like, ain't no way that I'm gonna let you mess up this amazing song with that lack of rhythm.
By Lil V. John.
Saint Little
Right.
V. John.
Right,
Hello?
Saint Little V. John. Oh, that is so funny.
Yeah.
So relationship podcast, and if you haven't gathered so far, Tony and Marko are husbands.
Husbands.
But how did the podcast come about? And even before that, how did you two meet?
Oh.
Ooh.
Well, we met through a mutual friend, Adam.
Yeah. The Tony and I-
Was his last name for Adam?
Yes,
Correct.
yes, it was.
Correct.
Yes, it was.
Correct. Yeah.
That's the Bapquest Dick days. We know.
He's German. He's German for Adam.
So-
Yeah. Mhm.
So Tony and I, we've been together for about 12 years.
Yeah,
by the
not
time this
about
comes out.
in a couple days,
Yeah,
12 years.
well, I'm thinking about when this is going to come out and all this other stuff. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, we will have been together for 12 years. And back in the day, when you like met people online, it was with a computer in front of you. There was no apps or anything of that nature.
It was truly computer
Legit
love.
online.
Correct.
Computer
Correct.
love. That's what
Correct.
it really was.
Correct.
Lucky we didn't have dial-up.
And so Tony we were both living in Florida. Tony had moved across the bridge from Tampa to St. Petersburg. I was living in St. Petersburg and had just gotten out of a relationship and turned around and realized I didn't have any like gay friends.
Mhm.
So I was that naive gay that was like, I'm gonna go get on a website and like meet people to be friends with, not really realizing that people went on there to like hook up and like that was about it, right?
Not really realizing.
No, because I was just never that girl. Like that was just not really a me thing. Like, and I was that naive. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get on here and like meet people. And then,
Meanwhile, all the friends ain't got no shirts on.
none.
All
And-
you see them from like here down.
Now, come on. You know that the whole time you were in the chat room, because it was a chat room, it wasn't anything else. But you were in the chat room. All the ads were for porn.
I just, again, you guys, I was just like, this is just gay culture. Like people,
And
look
it's like
I could sell
dick
like-
size. It's not even like your age
Yeah.
and name anymore. It's just like dick
I'm
size.
just like not paying any attention. But I like
Circumference.
literally met Tony, and I was like, And I was like, he looks fun. He looks like somebody that I would chat with. And so we just like we chatted for like over a month, literally just talked for over a month and had a really good time. And then we ended up finally meeting in person at this bar that is no longer in St. Petersburg.
So sad it closed.
Got drunk off of $3 Long Island iced teas that
Ooh,
was
which is why they
Long
closed.
Island
The heartburn of it
Long
for me.
Island ass teas. That's what you need to call it. That's where they take your ass out.
Had so much fun with those. And then Tony was like, you don't have to feel, essentially he said, you don't have to feel the same way, but I like you. And
Why you gotta skip over the good part?
Ooh, what's the good part?
Don't skip over the good part.
Don't
Don't skip
skip
over
What was
the
the
good part.
fondulation and
Don't
and the
skip over the good
hateration
part.
and the
Don't skip
In
over
the
the good part.
dancery.
Marco says that every time he skips over the good part. Tony essentially said, that's not what Tony essentially said. What
It
Tony
is
actually
essentially what
said-
you said.
Tony actually said was, it's fine if you don't feel the same way, but I dig your chili.
Ooh, oh.
Aww.
Oh.
And I
That's
was like,
cute.
I don't
That's
know
cute.
what that means, but I think I like you too. Like, it was just like,
He knew what it meant.
Not
He
even
knew what it
Tay.
meant. He knew what it
It's like
meant.
I do not recognize this man. If I were to see him in the street,
I'm
to
sorry for this man,
Right, right.
but I like you too.
but I like you too.
I like your Wendy's chili too.
Hello. I was like, this is weird. So
This is
yeah,
cute.
and we've been literally dating ever since then. And so we've been together ever since then. So yeah. Yeah. So we've
well,
been
happy
together.
12th anniversary.
Thank you very
So wait, that
much.
was your first. That was like your first. That was your first meetup. Do you consider that to be like your first date, or was that kind of like
Yes.
the pre-date and then you had an actual date
It
after
was
that?
it was not supposed to be a date. We were supposed to be friends. Neither one of us wanted to date anyone.
Yeah.
And it was literally like 2 drinks in. I mean, a couple of hours in. and I said that. And then Marco said he felt the same way. And then it was only like we were only together for like another hour after that. Like you had a friend show up and you
My
were
best
doing
friend,
you were doing like the rest of the night out thing, which ends for me way earlier than everybody else. And I told you that you should let me, you should walk me to my car.
Ooh, aw. And you walked
And
into
then-
his car.
And then he kissed me.
Ooh, okay.
And-
Come on, Tony.
And I was
Yes,
like, okay,
put it
I really like
down.
this. And it was funny because I like went back to my friend who was like trying to hook up with this other guy. And then that other guy's friend
Was
was
trying to
like
hook up with
trying
you.
to get with me. Like he was like determined. Like this had been like an ongoing thing for like weeks. And I'm like just
Meanwhile, I
sitting
went and
there,
got a burrito from Taco Bell.
and I'm like
She
sitting
said
here.
mission accomplished.
Exactly. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, what am I doing here? Right? Like I got this guy that I like that I just let go. And then I got this guy that I don't like that is like breathing down my neck. Like, why
Right.
am I here? And so I literally left. And then I called Tony and yeah, we literally have been together. He came over that night and we've been together ever since. We literally have been together
That's
ever since
beautiful,
then. Yeah.
actually.
That
That's really
Mhm.
cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
That
it's a
just,
fun
just
thing.
goes to show like when the vibe is right, the vibe is right.
We neither one
Yeah.
of us like denied it. We were like, obviously we're meant to, like it just felt right. Like it
Yeah.
just
Well,
felt
and
right.
I meant what I said when I met you. Like, if you didn't feel the same way, that was gonna be fine. But I had to say it. Like, I just had to say it. The attraction, was so intense and
Ooh.
like fundamental and real. And I was just vibing with him. But it was like on so many levels. Like our value systems linked up, and our humor linked up, and our, it was just great. It was just
Yeah.
great.
Aw.
It was
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Aw,
Yeah.
come on.
Well, episode over.
Right, exactly. It's like, happy ending.
Next week on Minority Report.
Right, exactly. Wash your hands, wash your legs, wash your ass.
And wash your ass and be done with it. Exactly. Yeah. We and then we got married in
October.
2016.
Very good.
2016. Is that
I know,
right?
like,
Yeah,
you
that
gotta
is right.
That's
remember
correct, because
all
the
these
5 years
damn
is coming up.
dates.
Yes.
Fucking dates. They're all over the place. I'm
Right.
like, good Lord. Yeah. So yeah.
I'll tell you
2016.
a secret. I definitely have to go to the fridge and look at our wedding announcement.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
And then Tony is such a romantic because he's a Pisces. So Tony is such a
Come on,
romantic
Pisces.
that
Yes,
he wants
boo.
well, he wants to like celebrate everything, right? So like he's like, like he wants to celebrate our first date. date. And I'm like, baby, we're married now. So like, we don't have to, like, I don't mind like commemorating it and like, you know, like being like, oh, on this date, you know, X amount of years ago. But Tony's like, no, we're going to dinner. It's going to be romantical, like all of that stuff, which I'm like completely fine
For
with.
the record, I never used the word romantical.
I've heard you say it a couple of times.
If you said I like your chili, I wouldn't put it past you.
I like to play on words. I still only use real words.
There you go.
Read the house down. Close the encyclopedia.
I don't say romantical and I don't say irregardless.
She said, my name is T.I. spelled T-N-I.
Right. Yeah. That's funny. So then years later, you get to the podcast. Like, what made you want to start a podcast?
It was interesting. So Tony and you know, as a couple, we were boyfriends at the time. Tony and I were finding that we were trying to like find other like-minded people. Like we wanted people that were like in relationships that like we can hang out with. And, you know, we love board games and we love going to the movies and we love trips and we love, you know, we like doing and interact restaurants and drinks and stuff like that. So we wanted to find other couples that we could like do those things with. And we realized we didn't have any gay friends that were in relationships to do those things with, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but we just wanted to like build upon like our couple gay friends. Yeah. So we started going to like gay events. But what was happening is every time we were going to these gay events, people were trying to either pick one of us or both of us up, which was very interesting. So it was either like, do y'all play together or do you play separately? And that was like the entire narrative.
The only options. Yeah.
And so we were like, and then we were even more confused because we were like, wait, like, wait, no one wants to be our friends. They just want to like have sex with us. Like, this is just weird.
Which is like, it's like, okay, is that flattering? Is it not? Like, it's like, how do you accept that? It's like,
there's a part of me that's like into it, but into it in terms of like, oh, thank you.
I am a whole person. I am not a person with a hole. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, then it was just, we have quite a few.
Hello.
That can be used for several different things.
So
look, I just created one.
I like it. There you go. There you go.
I know what you're talking about.
So then we were like, okay, well, let's start. This is when Meetup was like uber popular. So we were like, let's start a Meetup, and like we'll do it for like couples, right? So we can like hang out with one another. And then at the time, my brother had started a Meetup. I'm sorry, not a Meetup, but a podcast with a good friend of his. And I was like, oh my God, Tony, that's it. Like what we'll do is we'll do a Meetup in conjunction with the podcast. So then that way we can amplify the message just a little bit more, right? Like we're doing it locally, but then we're also doing it internationally, right? Like we can do it all over the place. Super long story short, the Meetup group got weird, and so we cut it out of the entire narrative, but we kept up with the podcast, and it's been fun. We're 4 years running at this point. And it's been a good time. And we call it Relationship because it is the shit that you go through to be in a relationship with the person that you love.
Honey,
and that speaks to my soul, my
Yeah.
heart, my toes, my elbows,
all your holes,
my intellect,
all the holes.
Yeah,
because like I mean, at the end of the day, like being in a relationship is work. It's work. No matter how much you vibe and connect and are compatible with somebody, it's still there are power dynamics at play. There are personal needs that are at play. There's egos that are at play. Like, you know, there are times where you just need to be by yourself, but you can't because you live with your partner. So it's like, can I just have some time by myself? Go. Like I love you, but go.
Like, can I just use the bathroom by my damn self for a second?
That's all I want to do.
You still here?
And so
got somewhere to go for like 5 minutes.
5 minutes. And so every week we try to talk about like things that happen within your relationship and try to give you a little bit of guidance in terms
Yeah.
of like ways to figure out how to like work your way through it. So we tell you a little bit about like our experience within our relationship, like how we handle it, you know, and whether we
Or don't
fail or
handle it.
succeed or don't handle it, like we or how we fail and succeed with it. And then we try to bring up articles and like actual like factual ways in which people say that you should effectively, you know, handle
Right.
it. And then we do that. You know, we do other things like highlighting positive queer couples. You know, the one thing that we never had growing up was representation of queer
Right.
people in
Yeah.
media and things of that nature that gave us aspirations or like allowed us to feel as though we could potentially attain this later on.
Yeah.
So we try to highlight those couples, you know, via social media in our hashtag queer relationship goals. We usually interview with other queer people that have amazing stories,
Whether
and
they're single
narratives.
or couple.
Yeah, anything, just so that
Because
we
it's
can
all queer people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless
we
of
want to hear
relationship
about
status.
your, you know, your origin story, how you came to your queer identity. Then we also want to hear about your relationship status or lack thereof. Like, what is dating like? What is being in your relationship like? Like all of those things. We want to just know like what's going on with it. And so it's been fun. We've met some amazing people.
Yeah.
Really great people. Yeah.
And we've had a great time with it. It's a really good time. We love it.
What was the most difficult conversation to have on the podcast?
Oh, that's a really good question, Dawon.
Most difficult.
I think there was an episode that Tony and I did about apologizing that was very challenging for me to bring up to Tony because he's not a very good apologizer. And so, and when he does something, if I'm feeling a way about it, I don't really like, you know, I will tell him how I feel about it, but I don't like expect anything from him at this point, because I just don't always get an apology. And so having to like say that on air with him, because we are very candid about everything that is going on
Right.
with us.
Yeah.
We'll even tell you if we're in the middle of a fight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. It was very interesting to have to like say that to him on air. So that was, for me, the most difficult one to talk about. What about you, Tony? I can't answer for you.
Do you have a guess?
No.
The most difficult one for me was a two-parter for
the
two
religion one.
for two reasons. One, religion. I have, you know, I was raised Roman Catholic, which is riddled with just lots and lots of guilt.
Yeah.
And I converted to a different practice many years later, but I still have those things and those values and that history. And so talking about the 6 bullets, the arguments that people have about why homosexuality is wrong from a biblical standpoint, which, by the way, listen to the episodes and you'll learn, spoiler alert, they're not. And there is actually nothing in there about that, because there are no healthy gay relationships in the Bible, and there are also no pets and no dinosaurs, and we know those things exist too. So anyway, so that was difficult for me because it's like, I'm a spiritual being first. And so to have a trauma or a denial of access to filling that cup is problematic for me. But then also, Marko, you mentioned that during the conversation, you had a unique experience with the way I was interacting with the guest. And I will never forget that, because it's the only time like I ever felt like I had disrespected you without knowing that I had disrespected you. And still to this day, talking about it, like, I feel a kind of way about it, because Marko said he had a moment where he was like, what's going on with these two? And I had no idea that, like, what was going on, what was that experience, what did I do? Because for me, and I've said this many times, there are 2 men in the whole world. In the entire world, there's 2 men. There's my husband, who I adore, and there's everyone else who can't hold a candle to him.
Aww.
And so to hear that, like, he experienced something that even remotely challenged that, I still to this day have a hard time with. I still do. Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's and maybe that's something maybe a lot of the listeners and like we call them our community probably don't even realize a lot of times with the podcast is that it's really our lives.
Right.
It is really our lives.
Right.
And-
It's all real.
And you sometimes might say something, and sometimes not even like meaning it to come off one way or the other, you know, that like your spouse or your partner or your husband, your boyfriend, whomever may hear or may come up in conversation later that you're like, whoa, you took it that way, and that was not what I meant, and that might hurt their feelings. Like, because I've said on here, there was a conversation where my husband's half Greek, half Lebanese, and he heavily identifies as Arab. And my point on the I forget what episode it was, what conversation we were having, but my point during the episode was like he can walk into any room and they can identify him as white.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a privilege that he has. However, he took that as you're discounting that I was Arab and
Right.
that I was getting bullied and made fun of growing up because of it. And even the white kids, even though I can identify as white, were still making fun of me. And so that brought up a trauma in him that it still like is an ongoing conversation every once in a while, that because it hurt his feelings, because it felt like he was being bullied again for being overlooked. And that was something that I was like, oh, didn't know I need to learn that lesson, but I'm glad I learned it.
Yeah,
You know, it was
yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
Was, you know, so that's interesting
It's
to
a
hear
lot.
that. Huh.
Yeah, that is
Huh.
The
fascinating.
stratification is just, I don't know. We all still got a lot of room to grow.
Girl,
much.
ain't that right? So then, is there something on the show? So you've had the show for 4 years. Is there something that has made like a vantage point that have, or a viewpoint that you've changed along the way? That like maybe an earlier episode you're like, oh, I definitely thought that way, but now 4 years later you're like, maybe I don't quite feel that way now.
I can say for me, the concept of open relationships is a little bit more, I won't say intriguing, but I'm like a little bit less judgmental behind it, I will say. We had a guest on the podcast that said, you know, as of right now, we're monogamous, right? But who knows what the future holds for our relationship, because we're ever evolving people.
Yeah.
So, you know, we might, you know, 30 years from now be like, hey, like let's spice things up a little bit by doing X, Y, and Z. And so, you know, Tony and I are a monogamous couple, and I think we've kind of built our brand, if you will, on that whole thing. And we're completely like, I stand in that, I live in that, I'm happy with it. But I will say that like the thought of like non-monogamy later, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, because we just don't know where we're going to be at a later date. And so that's fascinating to me. I'm very fascinated with the evolution of that thought for me.
Yeah. Tony.
What about you, Tony?
And Marko, you'll have to help me remember all the categories, but there was an episode that we did where it was like, what's your priorities? Is it yourself, your work, your family, your partner? And I don't remember what the other one was. But it was, yeah, you can think about it. You can help me with it. But it was basically like where do you think those things should be, and where do you behave, or where are they actually at? And I had a like explosive epiphany, eureka, mind blown kind of a moment. And I still am reeling from it. I still am, because where I thought my values were and where I behave or act my values in terms of like what order those things come in: work, your partner, yourself.
It was work, your partner, your family, your friends, and like the activities that make you feel good, like your your activities, like the things that you do, you know, whether that's watching movies or, you know, playing video games, whatever those activities. And you had prioritized the
Myself.
things that make you feel good.
Myself, my work, my family. I still, every day since we did that podcast, I still go, what message am I communicating? What am I actually giving myself? What am I like? Where does this fall in line with my values? Like, I definitely, it blew my mind. Like reading that article, talking about it, it has fundamentally changed how I approach every day.
Wow.
And I won't say I've changed those priorities, and I won't say that I've done a better job, but I'm definitely like a lot more aware, and like the whole schema has shifted. It's crazy.
Even just think about it just now, I'm like, damn.
It's crazy.
It's like, where are mine at right now?
Yeah.
Mine are at trying to find this damn Burberry bag.
Valid. I can understand prioritizing that.
Falls on the list for sure.
I do feel like even in that context, when we're talking about like your priorities and kind of linking back to what Marko was talking about in terms of, you know, like expanding one's mind. I feel like, and I don't know if this is like an American culture kind of thing, or if this is more just universal in where we are just at this point in time. But I feel like a lot of us have been conditioned to live our lives in like these ultimatums,
right?
Or like in these not ultimatums, absolutes.
Yeah.
Absolutes. So like, oh, well, if you know, if we're talking about priorities, then, you know, like once you say this, then like everyone's holding you accountable. I'm holding myself accountable to like that. And
it becomes the absolute truth of everything you are and how you relate to me. And I get it. I get it. Yeah.
But then the reality of a lot of everything is that there is fluidity within that. Yes, there are going to be some things that are absolute, but in my mind, when we talk about priorities in life, you know, what's important to you, that shit can shift and move and migrate often and frequently. Like, you know, there could be a certain point where like you're prioritizing yourself. You know, you're prioritizing working on yourself because of XYZ, whatever those reasons are. And everything else comes after that. And there's value to that. You know, Iyanla Vanzant says, you know, when we talk about this notion of filling my cup, you know, I fill my cup up, and whatever I fill that up with is for me. Whatever spills over is for y'all. So in a sense, prioritizing yourself over everyone else, in a sense, is a really good thing, because it allows you to be able to give the best of those attributes to other people. But just like anything, an overuse of a particular,
there are degrees.
Like you can hyper focus on hyper prioritize yourself, and then, you know, like then you leave no room for anyone else. You know, so
you can also prioritize yourself and equally prioritize others. Like it's possible. One of my favorite quotes is from Walt Whitman, which is, "I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes." You can contradict yourself. And one of my greatest lessons in life kind of goes to what you were saying, which is people are allowed to be things that are contrary in every given moment. And that was such a hard lesson for me to learn. I'm such an absolutes person. I've had a lot of trauma. I've had a lot of bad stuff, and like I compartmentalize and I simplify things because it just makes it easier to kind of move them and categorize them. And so one of my hardest lessons has been, it's okay for people to hurt you and you still love them. It's okay for you to expect a level of
like a standard, like
like to expect a standard, to expect a level of loyalty, and to be disappointed and to still leave that sort of route open for them to give you that again, because it's so easy to say, you didn't give that to me, I'm going to close that down forever. And I don't know about everybody else, but that's been a thing for me to really kind of try and work on and learn and experience and allow to be something else, because again, I'm in absolutes.
That's interesting you say that, because like I think it was when we were on your episode, I forget the question you asked us, it was something around like, it wasn't like pros and cons, but like something that you're good at, something you're bad at, or something like that.
What do you consider to be your best and worst qualities?
There we go. Yes, there we go. And I listened back to it, and I didn't explain myself that well, but I feel like I'm such a great person.
Yeah.
But I have found that I expect other people to be more black and white sometimes, you know? And so it's just like, I expect myself to live in this gray because that's how I am. But if anyone else is living kind of gray and like contradicting themselves, I struggle with that because
It's
it's like, you
so
said you're going to
funny.
do this. Why don't you do it then?
It's so
And
funny.
that's not good.
It's so funny. Tony and I literally this morning had this little moment because Tony is a director of quality improvement, right?
Yeah.
He literally goes into other residences and things within his job and then like literally helps them streamline their workflow, right?
Yeah.
Like in terms of like, all of this is physical paper. Let's digitize this. Like, let's stop wasting.
How did I know that this would not be the last time I heard about this today?
Oh no, because it's fucking hilarious to me. I think it is so funny to me. Meanwhile, I watched him this morning because Tony literally files every single paycheck. He files every single bill from the Con Ed and all of these other things, files all of them paper on every single thing. And I literally looked at him because, again, Tony's expectation for everyone is black and white. Right. You have to fit, you have to do these things. But for him, he could be gray.
Yeah.
And that is completely fine. And I looked at him and said, you are the director of quality improvement. And we have these 3 like little file carrying cases that we have to keep because Tony has to file every single bit of paperwork that comes into this house. Yet you go and hold the expectation for every single employee that you work with. Like, why are there manual paperwork? Let's digitize it. Let's figure out the way to do this. And so it's hysterical to me that you said that because that is very within
it's
Tony.
legit. It's legit.
I love it. I'm still married to it. It's completely fine to me. But those are like those little quirks that I like sit back and look at it. And I'd be like, bitch.
In my defense, at work we have already paid for a cloud-based system, and I'm just really cheap. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to pay for a digital solution because I have to pay for it.
So
you send me my stuff. You send me my stuff. I'll throw it in this little $2 box.
I'm going to counter that. I will counter that for you because you don't have to pay to see your bills on Con Ed. You can literally
but I have to eventually I have to pay for like all the cloud-based storage because I'm not going to keep it on Con Ed. I'm going to move it to my folder.
That's not again, that's the gray.
It makes sense in your head, boo. That's all that matters. And that's how it is. It's just like I give the leeway to myself to make it make sense in my fucking head.
I can whatever multitudes.
Whatever makes sense in my husband's head does not make sense in my head, and it drives me fucking bonkers. And I don't give that leeway as often as I should. And that's something that for myself have had to work on. Not perfect by any means, but it's just like something that I'm identifying myself. That I'm like, why am I such a great person, but no one else could be? It's like that doesn't make sense.
Isn't there also a little bit of like as a great person, there's this notion that is the expectation, whatever that greatness is, meaning the right to change my mind. Well, I've thought about it and I used to think this, that, and the other, and led me to this conclusion, but now I know this, that, and the third, and that's leading me to a different conclusion. So now I'm able to change my mind. In my mind, I've made that shift. So now that's very clear to me. But then with other people, when they make a shift, you don't have insight into what process led them. And I think there is where could be the grayness that shows up, that it's difficult for people to understand, because it's like, okay, well, how do you do this? And then you do this when you said you would never do this, but you're doing this. And it's like, they have the same capabilities. And sometimes they could just be, very inconsistent people.
Well, and I understand, and I get it with my husband. First of all, my husband is a creature of habit. And he does not like change very much. Yeah, he is not very good at change.
Correct.
And so I understand where all of this comes from. These are habits that he created a long time ago, because a long time ago you didn't digitize everything. Everything was manual. So these are habits that he has just not gotten himself out of yet. I understand where it comes from. And I'm willing and able to sit back and say, you're cute, right? I just understand what is going on. It's when he gets defensive about it or tries to make up some other excuse behind it,
some justification of it.
just accept, like, we know what's going on, right? It's fine.
So my response from now on will just be, because I'm adorable.
That's all you gotta say.
Yes.
You know what? That would make me laugh, and then I would literally turn around, and it would just be the end of it, because it would just be the end of it.
That is so cute. How when you think about your podcast and the guests that you bring on, the conversations and topics that you discuss, how has your 12-year relationship informed the way that you approach those conversations?
That's a great, you guys asked some amazing questions. And I'm glad I'm not drunk, so then I could really be on top of answering these.
And I don't mean to like be Barbara Walters with this.
No,
like,
I love this.
It's so great to have a conversation with other podcasters that are also in a relationship, because you understand that dynamic of, like, you know, we talk about it all the time. Like, how much shit do we share? You know, and because sometimes we'll just be we're all friends, so we'll just be having a good old kiki conversation.
Right.
And I know, at least for me, I sometimes even forget that we're even like recording a podcast, that we're working.
Right.
We're just having a whole ass conversation about shit that we care about.
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, that's right.
Like,
I just
we
shared
a lot.
that. Okay. I don't know how that's going to be received by my mama, but when she listen to this, but so I'm just curious, you know, with having that the fortitude of your relationship, and then having this podcast that is what, you know, a third of your relationship. I'm just curious about how one informs the other.
No, it's a great question. And it's funny because Tony and I have this, it's one of the things that I love about him and like us together, and what we do is we kind of have this like nonverbal understanding of one another. So we usually are feeling the same way about something without even having to say it to each other, which is like absolutely amazing. And so when we first started the podcast, we kept it cute, right? Everything was like very like
surface,
nothing to see here, guys. Like everything was like really
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Right.
And then slowly but surely we started like letting in. There are a couple of episodes of the podcast that like I'm embarrassed to have even put out, because there is like obvious tension between the two of us in the podcast, where like we hated each other's guts, and we talked about and no,
we were literally fighting on air,
and it's recorded, and we still put it out there. And I think the more,
because it's honest.
I think the more we started putting those things out there, the more we started like understanding where we're at. And so now we've gotten to the part of the like our relationship and everything where we are literally like, we're talking about sex now.
Marko drops his panties on a regular basis.
Okay, now.
We're like talking about sex now, which is something that we like steered away from for a very long time.
Okay.
And so there's this evolution to who we are, where we're at, what we're willing to share, how we're feeling about each other, how we're feeling about sharing the information. I think the two of us have kind of gotten to the point where we're like, this is going to help somebody. So if we're like, I'm tired, it's like, do you guys remember, or maybe I was the only one that really recognized this, but do you remember that like 8 years ago or so, there was this whole like thing where all these women were like, yeah, I had a miscarriage. Yeah, I had a miscarriage. Oh my God, I had a miscarriage. Yes, I had a miscarriage as well. Yeah, it happened to me too. And everyone was like all of a sudden talking about all of these miscarriages. And you were like, wait a minute, this is like common. Like this happens with women. I didn't realize that this was happening. So Tony and I have gotten to a point, and I don't mean to equate the two, because that is definitely very challenging. But what I'm saying
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that there are things that happen within our relationship that like happens with everyone, that if you don't talk about it, then how are you supposed to know you have people that you can talk about? Which is part of the reason why I love all y'all so much, is because I think we even have the added chaos in our relationships because we're in interracial relationships too, right? And so not only are we dealing with relationship shit, but we're dealing with interracial relationship shit that is like a whole other level. And so we get to the point where our podcast dictates our lives and our lives dictate the podcast. And it's kind of beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Like we get to like really, I get to do this business venture with my husband, somebody that I like, that I love, that I respect and appreciate. And so we get to be in this place where we get to like let people get to know a little bit about us. Our listeners like email us. We had a virtual meet and greet, and we always talk about, I'm like rambling right now, so if I'm talking too much, you can definitely interrupt me. But
nope.
If but on one of the episodes of the podcast, we
Isn't
were
he
talking,
cute, y'all?
we were talking about like
My husband's adorable. Go ahead, babe. You keep talking.
We were talking about like fantasies and things of that nature, right? And I was very candid and talked about how like I'm not like a public sex person, but I do like voyeuristic sex, and that like I love the idea of somebody potentially being able to have seen us have sex, right?
Yeah.
Like, ooh, we could have gotten caught, right? Or
Yep.
something like that. And like
Titillating.
it's sexy. It's like fun. Or like, you know, you're having sex with the windows open and the neighbor across the hall could like see you guys are across the air shaft or whatever. Like those kinds of things like are exciting to me.
I just don't want nobody stealing my moves.
Brand new move, don't know what to call it.
So we were talking at our virtual meet and greet, and one of our listeners was hysterical because then all of a sudden a lot of people started saying, but they were like, I've got to say, if I happen to see you guys having sex, I wouldn't be mad at it.
Like, I'm gonna watch, boo. I'm gonna watch the whole damn thing and steal all the damn moves.
Like, okay.
No, that's something.
A different level on Patreon.
Yeah, right. It's like, what level is that? Get that OnlyFans level. What's that level? But that's stuff that like you probably don't even plan on going into a podcast. Like that's stuff that you can't foresee at all. That quite honestly, you're okay now sharing. You know, there's so much at the beginning. I was like, oh, I'm definitely not gonna say that. I'm definitely not gonna say that. And now I'm talking about like the time I got catfish at the old folks' home. I'm like,
bitch,
how the hell am I
when you told that story, when I tell you I was laughing my ass off on video, I could not.
I had no intentions of sharing this stuff. However, these are the conversations offline now that I'm having with the community, that I'm having with my friends, other friends, that like every once in a while my mama and dad will bring up, you'd be like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. But there's a freedom in it because sometimes you almost feel shamed by some of the stuff that you thought wasn't normal, but now it's normal. Like everyone's been doing some shit. So it's just
I also feel like I do feel like we've lost as a culture, lost the art of conversation. Yeah, you know, with a lot of our closest friends. So we're not normally having a lot of these conversations about things, and so there is this sense of isolation because there's this void that exists. Yeah, we have our friends, our family, and you know, people that we're close with, people that we kiki with, and all that. But
there's still things you don't talk about.
And you talk about certain things with certain people. Like I don't talk to my mom about certain things going, like my mom, she listens to the podcast and hey mom, how you doing?
Hey, hi. Oh yeah, the nasty. I want to know what she thought about the nasty pig episode last week.
Right into the show.
But like, you know, she said to me, we had a beautiful conversation, like 2 hours of just like talking and like reminiscing and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I just don't understand why you don't talk to me about, like, I learned so much about you by listening to the podcast that I never would have known. And I was just like, Mom, that's not a value. That doesn't have any value on the quality of our relationship. It's just, we talk about different things. Like I don't talk about the kind of things I talk about with my friends, with my mama.
Yeah.
Just...
And we were never taught that either.
No, and there has like exactly, because especially coming from a Black family, right? We were very much so told on a consistent basis, I'm not one of your little friends.
I'm not one of your friends. Exactly.
So if you're not one of my friends, I'm not going to talk to you like you are, right? So and that's no disrespect. Those are boundaries. It's
Mm-hmm.
respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all of those things. And like I'm completely fine with it. Tony and I laugh about this constantly because around my mom and dad, we are very buttoned up, right? Like we're very buttoned up. We drink
Marko,
wine.
don't swear.
No, we drink wine around them, which Tony and I don't drink wine on a consistent basis. We drink wine, but we don't drink it on like a consistent basis.
Yeah.
But around his dad or like his aunt and uncle, we be taking tequila shots, we be swearing, we be having, because it's a different type of relationship. Like those things like are different. And I'm not necessarily talking to them about our sex lives, but like there's like a looseness to it that is a little bit more comfortable. So the podcast has given, I believe the podcast has given us the ability to have a looseness about who we are that allows whoever is listening to it to have a little bit more insight into the Kertelis, you know, full stop. And I'm really into that. Like I really enjoy it.
And it's like, I always thought this was the greatest like album, everything we really expected music for me, but this was the greatest album, one of the greatest album titles for me, when Jennifer Lopez had the album called This Is Me ... Then. I was like, that's brilliant. Like it's literally a moment in time, and at the time she was dating Ben Affleck, so it was like then and future. But but it's just like that title always stuck with me because I'm like, that's what I almost think of the podcast. It's just like literally in this moment, this is Kerel now. This is Kerel then.
Right.
And hopefully, like you hold me to some kind of standard, but I might change my mind in a year. I might not be. I might go through something that I haven't gone through yet that has switched, or you know.
I guarantee you, I will be a different person by the time you hear this.
Honey, same here. It's like I don't know what's gonna go down this weekend.
Yes, exactly.
But oh man, but I mean, okay, we're an hour into the episode. We can talk to you two forever. So like, let's get to the Ask You. Oh, actually, before Ask You Aunteas, let's take a quick little break, little tea break right here.
Okay.
All right. So we are back with Marko and Tony from the Relationship Podcast, and we're gonna get into the Ask Your Aunteas. So what time is it? Ask your Aunteas.
I wanted to take the high note.
Right.
I always go low.
Ooh, put that bass in your walk. Right.
Yolanda Adams album.
Come on now. I opened up my heart. Okay. It says, so I'm in a relationship and love my partner very much, only he doesn't have the kinky side to him that I do. I recently had a one-night stand, and that was a lot of fun. No strings, just a fun time and great orgasm. I hate being a cheater, and I feel bad as I truly do love my boyfriend. I just sometimes need to feel wild and adventurous. Does this make me awful?
Yes.
Can I be in love and have a life with someone, but also have anonymous sex from time to time? So I'm in a relationship.
That's it.
Oh, that's it. My bad. That came in twice. So yeah. So it says, am I awful? And can I be in love and have a life with someone, but also have anonymous sex from time to time?
I mean, yes, you're awful because you cheated, and that was not the terms of your relationship. Right. So I'm not here to make anybody feel bad about it, but you should definitely reevaluate your relationship and your choices because that's just not fair. That said, you're not a bad person. It happens. We all make mistakes, so whatever. But I definitely think it doesn't make you awful. I jumped the gun on that. It doesn't make you awful. It doesn't make you awful, but it was not a great decision because again, you are cheating on someone. That said, the next part of the question, which is, can I be in love and have a life with someone, but also have anonymous sex from time to time? Yeah. You just have to change the terms of your relationship or find the person that is going to be willing to honor that kind of relationship, because there are open relationships that are out there, right? So you're more than willing to have a primary or have this person that you love and then still have your little fun side things to do as well. It's the cheating part that I have a really hard time with. as a person who's been cheated on like multiple times in relationships, that like really hits a chord with me, because you just didn't have to do that. You didn't have to. And as Tony always says, there are so many steps.
Too many steps.
Between.
Too many steps. You
meeting the person and then sleeping with them.
You don't enter a space with a person and then enter the person without multiple things happening in between.
It's true.
Right.
And then one of those is a turning point.
Yeah. It's crazy. And so
or a point to stop.
Yeah. And so for me, it's that's the part that I'm getting hung up on. But that being said, it doesn't make you a bad person. We all make mistakes, but you cheated on your partner, and call a spade, and you should really think about that.
Tony, what you thinking?
I like to pick things apart. So I'm in a relationship and I love my partner very much. I believe you. I absolutely believe you. And I think that is a motivation. He doesn't have a kinky side. That's a separate skill. You can develop that together. You can work on that. Like, what does that even mean? Does it mean something to you that it doesn't mean to your partner? Are there things that your partner is willing to do that really turn you on? Are there things that your partner is not willing to do that are actually not a big deal for you? Like, is it dirty talk?
Pull out
is
a
it being tied up?
crimper and crimp his hair? That could be kinky for him. Like that could be fun.
Yeah,
or crimp his pubic hair.
Exactly.
That's a new one.
Exactly. Who knows? White people got that kind of pubic hair that like
you get that 1987 crimper.
Exactly. Put a scrunchie in it and everything.
Done.
You also go on to say, I had a one-night stand that was a lot of fun, no strings, just fun, and a great orgasm. Nowhere in there did you say that person was kinky. So I have to wonder if these things are unrelated.
Also, I'm sorry, I'm gonna interject really quickly. First time sex is always more exciting.
That part.
It's
that
always
part.
more exciting, right?
I never experienced that.
Oh, it always is, because
sex with a person always got better over time. It was not great at the beginning.
I've had some great ones. I've had some great ones.
I haven't had good sex. Not that I haven't had good sex with strangers. What I'm saying is, the first time I had sex with you, that's one thing. But if I had sex with you more often, it got better. And again, that's their skills y'all can't watch.
Well, no, but I also feel like there's also I just feel like one of the things about a relationship is that you always end up bringing everything else into the bedroom, which is always problematic, right? Because your financial problems, their crazy mother, all of those things.
I think that's why our sexual experiences were different. Is if y'all do that, I don't bring that stuff in the bedroom.
You shouldn't. I'm not saying that's right.
I just keep bringing
that
me
on the nightstand.
I'm not
outside the bedroom.
It didn't make it through the door. It did not make it through the door.
I can also tell you though. I can also tell you though that I have had a couple of one night stands. Only literally
the only thing that made it to the door is my boner. That's the line of this episode right there. Exactly. We got it right there.
I have literally had 2 one night stands, and they were one that turned it was a one night stand that was then it turned into a little bit more. But
look at me, I'm over here fidgeting. I'm ooh.
And it was exciting the first time, right? Because you didn't know there was a little bit of danger. There was a little bit, all of it just kind of felt crazy. So first time sex is always great, but try being in a relationship with that person afterwards, right? Because you don't know that you're compatible in a relationship capacity, but you know that your peen loves his butt or vice versa. Right. Whatever. So anyways.
Okay, what's the next part we breaking down, Tony?
Okay, so to continue to pick it apart, I'm sorry, I'm very nitpicky. But it says, I hate being a cheater. You don't hate it enough. I feel bad. You don't feel bad enough. As I truly do love my boyfriend, I just sometimes need to feel wild and adventurous. That's okay. But if you're going to be in an honest relationship, bring that person who needs to be wild and adventurous to the forefront, have an honest conversation and talk about what ethical non-monogamy looks like for you. And be an adult, and if that's not the relationship that that person wants to be in with you, or if it's, you know, much later and that's not the relationship you're currently in, be an adult and end it. Just be an adult and end it. Does this make me awful? No, it doesn't make you awful. But as we said earlier, you can be awful and you can be great at the same time. It's okay to be both those things. It's normal. And like, fast forward past the end of the Disney movie, because they have to live together later and they do crappy shit to each other and we never see that. So it's okay. Both things are true. Yeah. Can I be in love and have a life with someone, but also have anonymous sex from time to time? As Marko said, yes, you can, as long as you are ethical, as long as you're upfront about it, as long as you all have an agreement, whether that's just on your birthday or every time you feel like it, or anything in between or beyond that.
In different area codes.
Oh, come on, Luda.
No one makes up the rules but you. But when you establish the rules, follow them, or you don't get to play the game.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I love to make out, and I tell Tony all the time that I would just love to be able to like make out. Like it's just one of those things. Like I love making out with my husband, but like, I would love to. He's not.
Because here's the thing: you are sending your husband to jail. I can't afford a record in my line of work.
But that's our relationship, right? Like some people would be like, making out is not cheating. But like in our relationship, it is cheating. Like,
but do you remember like the second night that we went out and you were like, oh, and then you stopped. I was like, that's that guy that wanted to make out with you, isn't it?
No, that's
remember that when you like
I made out with him like weeks before. Yeah, right. Like weeks before I met you.
And then he came up and I was like, I'm gonna snap his arm.
Oh man,
I don't know.
Dawon, what you thinking, boo?
You know, honestly, I don't have too much to add to this. I think what you both brought to the table in terms of this, I think it's right aligned with where my head is at. I found it problematic that in this very short explanation of what he wants, he basically told us that he's a cheater, and I can't imagine that this is the only time. You know, it's not like, oh, I did this one time, I did this one thing with this one person and I feel bad about it. It's like, I hate being a cheater, but you are claiming being a cheater. So that's telling me something about who you are and what your personality is and what you want. I find it interesting that people will continue to pursue a relationship that does not serve them.
Right.
Oh,
because they think they have to.
Okay, right. Pastor,
right. Pastor Hawkins.
Exactly. Jeez, but it's Deacon like, Hawkins over here.
It's wild because you're not honoring yourself, right? Because you're not giving yourself what you want and need out of a relationship. You're not honoring the other person, you know, because you're not giving them the fullness of yourself, and so. You know, neither of you have the possibility of being happy because there's a lack of honesty that exists between you two and a lack of alignment in terms of what's acceptable. So, and people will cling on to a relationship for whatever reason, you know, financial reasons, for the fact that they just don't want to be alone reasons, for the fact that they have for the fact that their partner may be really, really attractive and they view them as a piece of arm candy versus a human being, you know, and they don't want to lose those things. Yeah. I find it problematic because you're just not living in your truth, you know. And I would just encourage anybody, regardless of whatever you're into, you know, it's just like, I equate it to rape. You know, and I know that's pretty harsh, but at the end of the day, you're not giving your partner a chance. You're violating them every single time you take these actions. That's rape. They didn't sign up for it. They don't want it. They don't desire it. They're not asking for it. You chose that, and you're inflicting them with that pain every single time you make a choice to feed your own desires versus just having a conversation and being courageous. So, you know, I mean, I'm sorry we had to go there, but at the end of the day, you took it there.
Ooh, damn. Ooh. Okay. I don't even know benediction, pass the collection plate. Shit. What the hell am I supposed to say?
I am proud to be in the service.
Right. Okay, now.
Time.
Where my tambourine at?
Where my giant purple church?
I haven't heard that. I've not heard that song in a long time, man. Wow, that's a throwback church hymn. Yeah, I feel bad in a way because like I took the cheating part as like maybe he's already beat himself up and now he's labeling himself the cheater. He's already like throwing the stones at himself. Like I kind of didn't take it as a habitual thing, but it could be. At this point, you're just gonna have to have that conversation. Like if you do love this person and adore this human being, now it's time to have the conversation. It's just like say what you did, fess up to it. You might have to reap what you sow. It is what it is, but you at least selfishly owe it to yourself, quite honestly. Get what you want, because if he's not kinky, you're not gonna be able to get it. Like, yes, I get it, it can be learned and things like that, and maybe that's a conversation that you need to have, because maybe low-key he wants it more kinkier too, and you both ain't getting satisfied. So I think you both owe it to each other to at least have that conversation, but it's gonna be a tough one because you're gonna have to say what happened and things like that, because like you said, it wasn't the terms of your agreement. But maybe the term, like maybe it's like going to Verizon, but like, hey, I don't like this contract. I want a new one. And and can negotiate
I want
that.
All 5 of the G's.
All of them, the ultra wide bands, all of the bands. So I think that's one of the things you're just gonna have to owe to yourself and also to the person if you do love them and care for them. Because I think it is sometimes, there's certain conversations that might set your significant other over, and you a lot of times try to tiptoe. You're like, damn, I don't feel like having this conversation. I know what's about to happen. But that's part of being, unfortunately, in a relationship. And put your big boy pants on and have it.
Unfortunately.
And exactly. Unfortunately. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
how much time does a person have to wait in a relationship that's not working for them? What's the opportunity cost here? The fact that you chose to step out of your relationship as opposed to have a meaningful conversation to define the terms. And it's not to say that you didn't have a conversation, but I'm saying a meaningful conversation where you and your partner come to terms so that you don't have to feel like a cheater. Because if at the end of the day, you realize through that conversation that it's not going to change for them, they're very, let's just call it vanilla, whatever vanilla means, and that's just not what you're into. And you're going to always crave something different. Why would you put yourself, let's just talk about selfishness. Why would you put yourself in that position to always be disappointed with the relationship that you have because you're not being sexually satisfied? And then furthermore, through your disappointment, you're now making someone else suffer. Like, just have the conversation. Have the conversation, figure it out.
And have it multiple times, because your position, pun intended, will evolve.
Well, I also think it's very important too, though, because like we kind of hit on the cheating part more than we did anything else, but we also have to understand that kink within itself is not quote unquote commonplace, right? And everyone has a different definition. You kind of alluded to it a little bit, Kerel. Like everyone has a different definition of kink, right? And because you've never actually had the conversation about your kinks and the things that you like and or any of that stuff, like you don't even know what your partner's kinks are. Your partner might have this secret kink that they've just been programmed to not come out with, because kinks are usually shamed, or there's this element of like, girl, don't talk about that out loud kind of thing, like, and so you essentially did not give your partner the benefit of the doubt, but instead chose the route of cheating because you thought you would get more out of that than talking to your partner about what could potentially happen. And that's not fair. That is not fair to them, because you could have a whole like key conversation. Again, Tony and I literally sat in front of a microphone and talked about our fantasies and things, wanting to like go to like a sex party and things of these natures. Like if he doesn't ask me those questions, how is he ever supposed to know that I feel that way?
Because a lot of times you're not going to voluntarily, like you said, give that up, because there might be some trauma, there might be some shame behind it, there's a whole lot of
There
shit.
definitely will be.
Definitely
will be.
Carl, you're sitting up there eating your cereal in the morning, and Corey just comes over, is like, you know what? One of these days I want you to take a ear of corn and just stick it in my ear until
boo.
You know
I'm the wrong one. I'll be like, okay, let's go to Kroger right now, ho.
Which ear you want? Which of the corn?
Right, you got two ears.
You want a hairy? You
want me to shuck the corn? You want me to shuck the corn? Do you want me to cut the corn in half? You want me to grill it? What kind of corn? You want cream corn? You want cream corn? Okay, cream corn. There we go.
Cream corn.
And so there's just
I'm the wrong one to ask.
Ways. But that's my thing, is like, unless you know what your partner wants, like you're counting them out, like, right? Yeah. Like, so you just decided that cheating was easier than talking to them about it, which I personally feel like is a huge red flag, right? Yeah. Because if you felt like you could even talk to them, but it was easier to go cheat on them, then like, you probably shouldn't be in the relationship anymore. But that being said, like, you also discounted them. You don't know that.
Yeah. Right. And for everyone that's listening to, this isn't just like sex stuff. Like there's ways we all justify shit in relationships. It's just not sex. We relate, like, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, there's other ways we also quote unquote cheat and things like that we don't give the benefit of the doubt or allow the conversation to be had. So yes, because like I feel like a lot of times when we say cheating, it always goes sexual, and that's
there's
always the worst thing.
There's intellectual, there's financial.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a myriad of, totally.
So there can't be more holier than thou when you're over there spending all your coins without your husband knowing it. So there's other shit out there as well.
There's
to be cheating in your relationship on. So it's like whatever that term of agreement. And I think the hard thing sometimes though in relationships, especially if you've been in a long-term relationship, is you think those terms of agreements have to stay the same from day one to eternity.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the hardest thing that I probably had to learn.
I'm just waiting for Tony to let me kiss people. That's all.
That's it, Tony. He said, I don't think that terms ain't changing.
Go to jail.
Baby, I am just
covered
kidding.
this.
I'm just kidding.
But community, continue to send in your Ask Yo Aunteas questions at aya@minorityareport.com or DM us or text us if you know us in real life, all that good stuff. We enjoy these questions. And we got some juicy ones out there, and before we get out of here though, I see you got Ivy Park on. You see Miss Beyoncé on the cover of Harper Bazaar right now. And she's about to drop another Ivy Park collection. Beyonce starting to do them little rumblings. She's starting to do the little rumblings.
What I like about this moment though is that she's actually like talking about it, whereas she's never done that before. Bitch has just surprised us.
Dropped out of
all of our edges have been like just gone by the time we wake up. So
that part.
But
I know she said, yes, there's music I'm working on. I was like, shit, she acknowledged
for over a year and a half now, which is just crazy to me. It's just crazy to me. I can't even wait. I like this Ivy Park collection. Like, I am definitely take every single penny that is in my bank account right now because I want so much of it.
You want all the rodeo.
all of it. This denim printed Ivy Park moment is just life for me. Like, this is amazing. This is so good.
I know.
I never knew I wanted to ride a cowboy or a horse or both.
Save a horse, ride a cowboy. I know that's right. Come on, Ivy Park. I don't like. And just the way she even looked in this Harper Bazaar, like, I'm like, Beyonce, just stop it. Like,
40. Bitch is 40. Yeah. She
literally
is 40 years old. Like, this is, I mean, she just looks
9,
amazing.
4, 8,
1. Exactly.
B-Day.
Get me body. That's what she said. Oh, she's just, it's everything to me. I just love it. It looks so good.
I'm so here for it. So please, I hope she still secretly drops the album, but at least we know it's kind of coming. Like, I like that little Beyonce surprise where like you damn near get a heart attack
Well, I'm hoping
You crash
what I'm
HBO.
hoping what I'm hoping she does is like, because this Harper Bazaar drops on the 31st, and I think the Ivy Park Rodeo drops on the
16th,
is it the 19th? I
19th,
think is when
something
it
like that,
drops.
yeah.
And so I'm wondering if like one of these. I see now Beyonce speculating, which
Huh.
which is just never good for anybody, because then it never works out the way you want it to. But I'm hoping she drops the album at the same time of one of those dates.
I like the nugget that she dropped in the article in an interview when she just said, you know, I'm ready for a renaissance when it comes to music.
I know. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean, Beyonce?
Yeah, like, are we gonna have like, you know, like harpsichords and
right?
You know, like it's gonna take the music all the way back to the 1600s.
I'm a huge fan of the harpsichord, so I hope
Beethoven.
So.
Oh, that's the name of the album, Beethoven.
Beethoven.
The Brandenburg Concerto. I'm into it.
Could you imagine? What's that tiny little like machine? The tiny little like piano.
The guitar. Not the guitar.
Oh, the little piano. Yeah.
The tiny one that sounds like a piano that's high pitched.
Right.
It's the harpsichord or the clef chord. Or
one of them. She's gonna turn into that. She's gonna be like, I'm gonna mix Houston with the Renaissance.
I'm here for it.
She got strings with an 808. Woo!
I love it. I'm ready.
I'm so ready. I'm so
All my
ready.
I
also love the fact that she said
much more.
I also love the fact that she said that she really wants to be more known for like her musical talent. She said, I admire people like Sade and Prince, you know, who she's like, I'm lucky enough, and I'll get the quote wrong, but she essentially said, I'm lucky enough that I can control what is put out there, which, you know,
she said, my Virgo ass let you see what I want you to see.
Exactly.
I was like,
no, she said that. She said my talent should speak about who I am, not what's going on behind the scenes. And I love that.
And what's crazy to me is that the reality is that's not what's happening for her right now. But if you actually paid attention, that's exactly what's happening for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like the talent is clear. It's so clear. It's interesting. Like I've never been a huge pop person. I've never been a pro anybody, but Marko has made me like really appreciate Beyonce. And I will tell you that the argument of why don't you like her? Like there's no reason not to. There's definitely no reason not to. Like what's your argument? Because the talent is so clear. It's so clear.
The argument is because they're not as talented, so they're jealous and find a way to hate. That's what it really is.
Because that's always what my question is like, why? So like, you don't like Beyonce. Why? Oh, well, I don't listen to her music. Okay, but like, okay, so you don't listen to that music. What music do you listen? Right. That's always so what music do you? Oh, I listen to Rage Against the Machine. Okay, so it's the genre. It's not the Beyonce. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, but
there's a translatable skill about the understanding of and I hate this term, but musicality, and being able to take it and look at things that are within that same genre or that same tier and say, like, you know, I prefer singer-songwriters. I love like the 70s. Like I think there's like a great creativity that happened there. I think there's a minimalist approach, but like I can recognize the singer-songwriters who exist today with the electronic technology and say, wait, you're taking the same number of options and just making it better in your own. So am I a huge like Beyonce fan? No, but like, do I recognize that like there's a lot of number crunching going on there and there's a lot of talent happening right there? Of course I do. Of course I do.
Can I
she's the stars of all stars. Like when stars like gasp, that's when you know you're a fucking star. Like because there's very few people Rihanna. There's very few people that make stars be like, hold the fuck up. That's like so and so.
Yeah.
It's like Beyonce, it's like Rihanna. Madonna still, I guess, kind of there. You know,
I'm going to say legend. Can I bring Mimi into the conversation?
There's Ariana Grande.
Mariah.
Can I bring Mimi into the conversation?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear what Nick Cannon said earlier this week when he was talking about
He's so fucking
Verzuz?
stupid. I'm
him
sorry.
Him and Ara Kelly. You know, here's my argument though. I get what he meant about the musicianship that she writes.
So tell the people.
But
you might not have heard it.
So he was on the Breakfast Club and they were just still talking about Verzuz, who's going to go against Mariah. And he was like, there's very few people that could go against Mariah. I agree, very few people, but it's not because she writes her own stuff. That argument to me is kind of moot because it's just like God gives everyone's fucking talents. Like, so that it's not like she like yes, you still got to develop your talents, but it's not like she was born and she couldn't write and then now she's been working so hard and now she can write. No, there's certain talents that God gives people, at least I believe, that God's give people. So if it ain't your talent to fucking write, then don't fucking write because you're not going to sound good.
I totally agree with you. I think his point was like if I were to create the verses, this is the criteria that I would base it off of.
Which I think is still a moot point because it's just like, then, okay, are you going to have everyone that ever wrote a song that couldn't sing it? Like, so
because that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, first of all, Nick Cannon, shut up. I'm just so sick and tired. Like, even like at that point when he started saying all that, I was like, why are we still asking him questions? Because he's so stupid, because this is the same man that tried to justify having a bajillion baby mamas as well, because like he just feels like his seed be out there and he just loves being a dad. Just shut up.
He's a walking moot point.
Just shut up. And then for you to talk about it, like here's what my issue is like especially regarding artists that we question whether or not they're singers and or songwriters and things of that nature, as if that shit actually matters, right? Because Britney Spears had an entire very amazing career not really being able to sing and not writing a single one of her songs, but she was a fucking amazing performer. And I think that what we need to remember is that there are three categories of artists. There are singers, right? Vocalists that are able to do what they're doing. There are artists, right? That are able to actually like do everything that's within the entire musical sphere that they're working on. And then there are performers, right? And sometimes you can be like a performer and an artist, sometimes you could be a performer and a singer, but it's not possible. It's very rare that you have artists that are all three of them.
It's rare,
right? It's very rare
at that caliber of notoriety,
right.
Because Whitney Houston,
and that doesn't make other people less amazing.
No, because
that's the part I struggle with, because it's just like, how are you going to diminish? And here's the thing. I love me some Mariah Carey. Don't get me wrong. She writes the shit out of a song and she sings the shit out of a song.
Does she though?
And her vocabulary is delectable.
Does she though? Because I would also question
her
vocabulary,
or at least delectable.
Here's
have you ever heard her read anybody?
Wait. What is it Mariah Carey said that I can't stand, babe? Something about McDonald's
and wanting to be all up on your lips like gelato.
McDonald's and gelato do not rhyme. They do not rhyme. Now, I am all about twisting an internal rhyme and tweaking the sound of a word, but McDonald's and gelato do not rhyme.
Here's my
that
thing.
Stuff doesn't even bother me.
Just because and I love it. I live for it, right? I think that it is amazing. And Mariah has some writing credits, and I'm gonna give her writing credits. Do I think that Mariah Carey is this like insane writer?
No.
I do not believe that she's an insane writer.
Does she have her talent? Does she get her flowers? Of course.
I think Mariah is very capable of telling a great story through song. Like that is what I think is able to happen. Sometimes I listen to the words, but I listen to some of the shit that Ariana be putting down, and I'm like,
honey,
girl,
right? And that my humps come on right now. What you gonna do with all that junk? All that junk inside yo. That's the most basic ass, ignorant ass song. But guess what?
My booty pop every
honey.
Honey,
let's play some basketball.
Wait, I don't know that song.
Exactly. So I'm not mad at it, but I think that Mariah Carey as a vocalist, yes, she does not have a ton of competition there. But like, if you're gonna bring Mariah Carey's writing abilities into it, like you lost me, girl.
And
like
that's not what Verzuz is about either.
That is not.
Verzuz is like, Put your bop against my bop, and who's fucking winning?
And
I don't care who wrote it. I don't care who played the piano on it. I don't care who played the drums on it.
Let's be honest. There were so many. There were
Mariah,
so many people, and there were so many people on Verzuz, anyways, that were up there playing music that they didn't even sing to or perform to, that they wrote for other people. That other people,
Candy,
like Candy Burris, literally, like had Ed Sheeran's music up on her verses. Like, bitch. Like,
well, she did get that Ryan credit for that, Ed Sheeran. I was like, get them coins, girl. Go ahead, girl.
I mean, I ain't mad.
I'm not gonna.
But that's not what Verzuz is about. This is not Verzuz the writer's edition, right? This is just Verzuz, like
entertainment.
Bop is bopping,
because that Locks Dipset one got my entire life.
Oh, it was
Jada. I was on a Jada Kiss the entire flight. I was like, and it was so funny. I was editing the podcast first in the last episode, and it was like the wigs and everything. So I'm sure everybody around me was like, "Oh, what are these dudes with the wigs on?"
Why?
And then literally got done editing and had Jadakiss up on my phone. I was like, "If this ain't the Spectrum, I don't know what the fuck is."
Exactly. But I think at the end of the day, Nick Cannon just needs to shut the fuck up. I'm so tired of hearing from him. Like, I am just tired of it.
I think it's hilarious.
He did get it right that R. Kelly's catalog is incredible. However, R. Kelly's exceptionally problematic. So there's no way he's going to be on the Verzuz.
No.
That ain't going to go down. That ain't going down.
No, R. Kelly's in court right now. So he ain't going to nobody's Verzuz.
R. Kelly, he is canceled.
You know what? R. Kelly can versus Bill Cosby. How about that?
Ooh,
that's one that I would watch.
Damn.
We had more hits.
Oh, wow. Too soon.
Pod Relationship does not endorse all the comments made on this show.
I am done. I am all the way done. And on that note, please tell where they can find your podcast and what days it come out, where they can find you on social and everything.
Hysterical. So you can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, all them
the
places.
Best places on DNR Studios.
Well, sir, stop interrupting. Jesus. So it comes out every Wednesday on those podcast platforms. It's Relationship podcast. But gotta be honest with you, search for our last name, Kertelli. Crittelli, and it'll make it a lot easier for you to search for us. And then, much to Tony's point, if you join our podcast network, which is DNR Studios, you get to hear all of our podcast episodes days earlier than everybody else, or like we like to call them the basic bitches. So you can hear us on Mondays instead of Wednesdays, which is great. And then we're on all your social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Pod Relationship.
Ow. And check them out there. I love your podcast. I really do.
Thank
you.
Good.
There's very we have a lot of podcasters that come on, and I love them all, but there's very few that I have the time to honestly to listen to, because I'm no longer in the car in my commute, and that's where I used to listen to like a lot of them.
Right.
And yours, I try to get in there every week. I'm like, okay, let me try to squeeze this in. When I'm going to squeeze in? Oh, I'm taking a shower. Let me put the speaker on right quick, because y'all crack me up.
Things overheard in the bathroom at the gay bar.
Let
me try to squeeze it in real quick.
Try to squeeze it in right quick.
Thank you. That means a lot to us. We love y'all's podcast. You guys, there is so much about what you all are doing that makes me feel like I am sitting in the living room having drinks with like my three best friends, and I really appreciate it. And again, we have so much that we can relate on, right? You know, Black gay men in America dating white gay men in America, and all of our experiences and things of that nature. And so we love all three of y'all, Jerrell included.
Hey, Jerrell,
and
MIA Jerrell.
Yeah, we love you all, and we love the podcast and everything that y'all are doing. You're amazing, and keep it up. We love it.
Appreciate that. That's very sweet. And then Dawon, just to give the community a heads up, Dawon about to be living his goddess Grecian life for the next couple of weeks. So
what's happening?
She's going to Greece for like the next 9 weeks.
We're going to Greece in April.
Oh, I want to go to Greece.
Come with us.
Come in April.
Let me write this down.
I'm
Hold on.
turning. Is dirty 40 a thing? Flirty 40?
Flirty 40. Anyway, no,
40.
wait. This is about Dawon. Let's talk about
Shorty
Dawon.
40.
So Dawon's going to. This is about Dawon.
Okay.
Dawon's going
Yes,
to Greece.
Going to Greece.
Going to
Let's
For
do
Greece.
it.
I'll
9
just-
weeks. You know, Greece is on fire right now.
It's the northern part, and I'm going to be on the island, surrounded by water.
Right, that part. So just to give the community a heads up, you'll have a guest auntie for the next couple of weeks that's filling in for Dawon, but we'll miss Dawon next week. This is gonna be weird to have 3 weeks in a row without one of the aunties.
I'm sorry. I just, like it's been like a lot of us, it's been a really long 2 years, and I haven't really taken I've been on little like weekender trips,
but not a
kind of like in and out here and there, and or like visiting family, and that's just a priority and all that. So this is like just for me. I turned 45 on Saturday. I will have turned 45 on Saturday because by the time this airs, my birthday will have passed, and it will already be in Greece, hopefully.
Happy birth.
But yeah, I'm planning on disconnecting completely. I'm not working. I'm not checking near one of them emails. I want to sit my happy black ass and get baked in the sun and like drink and just and sleep in like just sleep in. So hopefully when I come back, I'll be a chocolatey shade like Kerel over there. By the time I get back, have to catch up with him.
Yes, boo.
Nestle.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see them Dawon pictures, because Dawon be like smiling for the gods in this photo. He be like, I can't even do it. I can't even do it. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I am bringing my little caftan with me. So I have to take a couple little photos.
Yes.
Love it. I'm here for it.
Well, enjoy your trip, boo. And then community. Stay safe out there. Continue to wash your hands, wash your legs, and wash your ass. And we will see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.